Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I have two things to say. Number one, sometimes when we study the sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ, we study them in a way that they're disconnected from one another. So today I want to bring one aspect of it a little bit together so that in 4 easy steps you're actually able to stop Shaytan from affecting your life as much as it may be. Now, there's a lot of people, a lot of people who come to us, and when we talk to them, we find out that, when they're out and about in the world, like when they're outside, they're happy, right? And when they're outside, it's even easier for them to do ibadah. It's even easier for them to be nice to their wives and to be nice to their kids and to be jolly and so on and so forth. And when they come inside the house, the environment becomes such that their personality changes when they come inside the house. Maybe, you yourself go through this, or somebody who goes through this. So either if you do or don't, this will be very, very beneficial for you at many different levels. Number one, protecting yourself from Shaytan. Number two is seeing how Islam interconnects everything into one organic whole. So talking about how to protect yourself from and to trap Shaytan. Number one, we say everyone knows this part, which is to say Bismillah before you eat. Okay, so why does Shaytan have to go into your stomach to eat? Why can't he eat the food in your fridge? I mean, why does he have to wait till you start eating? He can eat the food in your fridge, right? So how does it make sense that you have to say Bismillah before you're going to eat, and yet you don't have to say Bismillah for the food that's in the fridge? Because Shaytan can because it's a being, right? So doesn't it make sense that it can just go to the fridge and eat the food that's there? Well, obviously that's true. And this is why I say we look at sometimes the sunnahs of the Prophet in a dissected way, in a differentiated way, rather than as an organic whole, how they affect one another. Now, before I continue, why is it so important to say Bismillah and to trap Shaytan by doing this? I'm going to give you the example from eating, but then we're going to apply it to the other levels, as you'll see. You see, when you are eating and you say Bismillah, and Shaytan can't have that food, even though he can have the food in the fridge, because you haven't done anything there yet. But when you eat and you say Bismillah, he can't have that food. So what happens? Shaytan becomes weaker because he begins to starve. When he becomes weaker, his attack on you becomes weak. And Shayateen find it very hard to be in the environment that you're in, and their impact upon you. So when you come inside the house, your personality isn't changing. You're not going from a jolly human being to a grumpy human being inside the house, right? A lot of times people are so friendly with the world outside, and inside the house they have a totally different personality. A lot of times this is because of the effect of the effect of the shayateen. So this is very, very important to practice, especially in this time as we are breaking apart at the political, economic level. We're beginning to now break apart at the level that we had a stronghold on, and that was at our family level. So I want to share with you something, and I want you to give me your feedback. Try this for 3-4 days and tell me in your comments with me that, what do you tried this exercise, you did this exercise, you did this for 3-4 days, and you make this part of your life, inshallah ta'ala, because you'll inshallah see the benefits of that. So without any delay, because I want this video to go fast, I want to start with and I'll just read English because I want this to be quick. When a person enters the house, he mentions the name of Allah. So when you enter the house, say Bismillah. And at the time of entering it and while eating the food, Shaytan says. So there are 2 things. You, number one, put one barrier for Shaytan as soon as you enter the house. Another barrier of the house is when you start eating. Okay? Then keep listening. Shaytan addresses himself. We have no place to spend the night. No evening meal. But you still have the food in the fridge. So we're going to come to that. But when he enters, meaning the person enters without mentioning the name of Allah, Shaytan says, you have found a place to spend the night, to become strong, to launch more attacks. And when he does not mention the name of Allah while eating food, then Shaytan says, you have found a place. When he does not mention the name of Allah while eating, then Shaytan says you have found a place to spend the night and an evening meal. One of the best protections you can have against Shaytan is to make sure you put these barriers before him and you starve him. Okay, now let's look at the second hadith, which will answer the question of, not this one, but the next hadith will answer the question of the fridge. Jabir radiallahu anhu reported that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, when a man enters his house, he should say the name of Allah. When he enters and he eats, if he does so, Shaytan says you have no place to spend the night. You cannot spend the night or eat. When he enters and does not mention the name of Allah, Shaytan says you have found your lodging for the night and a supper. So it is so important that your family remembers to say Bismillah. Everybody in the family says Bismillah. And if there are 3 people who said Bismillah and 1 person, for example, that's in the family didn't, then that's the person that will be affected most. And there are other ahadiths which I won't go into, but look at this hadith. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the night falls or when it is close to evening, stop your children from going out, for the devil spread out at that time. But when an hour of night has passed, release them and close the doors and mention the name of Allah. If you close the doors, Shaytan can't pass that door. So you close your main door, you put the locks and everything and the security code and everything, but also mention the name of Allah, because that will be the spiritual protection. Okay? And for Shaytan does not open a closed door. Tie the mouth of your water skin and mention Allah's name. Cover your containers and utensils and mention Allah's name. It's not just the food that you're eating before you have to say Bismillah over all of the utensils that contain food. So when you close the door of the fridge, say Bismillah. And where does Shaytan live? In the bathroom. And make sure the door of the door of Shaytan, basically of your house, the door of the bathroom is closed at all times, because the opening it has an impact on the you say A'udhu Billah and close it. Okay, or you can read the dua of the bathroom and close it. Tie the mat, because these bathrooms didn't exist at the time of the Prophet. The bathrooms would be always outside the house. So that would be the place of Shaytan. What we've done is we brought the place of Shaytan into our houses now. Okay? Tie the mouth of your water skin and mention Allah's name. Cover your containers and utensils and mention Allah's name. Cover them by placing them in something across it. What the Prophet meant is, even if you have nothing to cover it, put something across it, even like a stick, according to one hadith. Put even a small stick just to make that barrier. Right? The intention of that barrier, that nothing should go into it. It's a good hygienic rule anyway, because you should put food in containers, because bacteria can be, because to protect it against bacteria and so on and so forth. Close the door of the fridge. Say Bismillah when you close the door of the fridge. So that will, say Bismillah when you close the containers. Say the Bismillah when you close the door of the fridge. Say Bismillah when you close the door of the house. Say Bismillah when you enter the house. Say Bismillah when you are eating the food. This is some of the Bismillahs. There's also Bismillah before going to sleep. There's also Bismillah before doing wudu. There's also Bismillah after leaving the house. There's also Bismillah for being in the car, when you get in the car. So anyway, the point is that, and these are all sunnahs from the Prophet. We know the famous one, Subhanalladhi sakhara lana hadha, right? But there is also the sunnah of saying Bismillah in addition to this dua that Subhanalladhi sakhara lana hadha wa ma kunna lahu muqrinin wa inna ila rabbina lamunqalibun. Okay, so now also over here, whenever the Prophet ﷺ intended to go to bed, he would say Bismillah. So this is some of the examples of the other Bismillahs. But now let's just talk about Shaytan and how to trap him. Very, very important. Try this for 3-4 days and see if it makes a difference in your mood, in your anxiety, in your depression, in your grumpiness. Just try this, because this will try to help you at the spiritual level, and see if it's easier for you to pray when you do this. When you enter the house, say Bismillah. When you're eating the food, say Bismillah. When you have, and tell the sisters and the wives and the daughters, when you cover the food, when you are putting a container and you're covering the container, say Bismillah. When you put it in the fridge and you're closing the door, say Bismillah. When you're eating the food, say Bismillah. Right? When you do all these things, then inshallah ta'ala it will create such a strong barrier that Shaytan will not be able to eat. And when Shaytan's not able to eat, he starves. And when he starves, he becomes weak. When he becomes weak, they fight with each other. And when they fight with each other, they're less bothered about you and more bothered about fighting each other. So I just wanted to leave you with this very small piece of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that one obviously has to be a believer to believe this, but its effects can be seen by the people that do these sunnahs of the Prophet, and those people in those houses that are not very particular about doing this particular sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. See all of these as one organic whole. When you're entering, you say Bismillah. Because why? Because the Prophet connected it in the hadith with the idea of putting a barrier to Shaytan. When you're eating food, it's connected to Shaytan. When you're covering the food, it's connected to Shaytan. Right? So all these things are connected. When you're closing the door, Shaytan can't. So these are things the Prophet has specifically connected in different traditions of his to the putting a barrier to Shaytan. So now over here I will end, and I hope you pass this on to others, because just as we have problems at the economic, political, social level, we also have problems at our family level, and we need to solve those problems too. And we have to start at the spiritual level. Because once we put Shaytan away, then we can deal with our own ego. And once we put Shaytan away, inshallah, Allah makes it easier to remember Allah. And especially when you're alone, because remember the hadith that I quoted and I showed on one of my lectures, either last time or the time before, that with one there's Shaytan, with two there's Shaytan, but with three Shaytan goes away. And so but if you are alone in the house, then if you have these barriers, Shaytan can't attack you that much. So you'll be in more control of your nafs and more control of your ego, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so pray for me, and inshallah ta'ala I'll be inshallah praying for you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of us, forgive all of us, protect all of us. Aameen. Allahumma Aameen Ya Rabb. Wassalamu'alaikum Warohmatullahi Wabarokaatuh. Make sure to subscribe today, and make sure you like, and make sure you leave your comments and ideas. Jazakumukallahu Khoiran. Wassalamu'alaikum Warohmatullahi.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله